Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the, what is this, the fifth? Yeah, the Florida State is now 3-2. The fifth film review of the 2018 season, looking at Florida State and Louisville. Once again, as always, this is your host, also host of the Unconquered podcast, where all of this arose. Jason Staples, here to walk through some of the more interesting stuff from the Florida State Louisville game. So we're going to skip around a little bit early, and then we're going to focus more on the second half where there's more reason for hope. So we're going to do some of that. We're going to focus a little bit also on what happened in the secondary for some of these free runners. So we're going to look at both sides of the ball on tonight's film review. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Have a little bit of kickoff, no problem. God, these uniforms are terrible. It looks like Virginia Tech. They should never wear those again. Once the Nike contract comes up for renegotiation, this needs to be a part of the negotiation, is to get real Florida State uniforms for alternates, because they could have such cool alternates, and these are not them. But anyhow, yeah. Nike, just make a few changes and folks will be glad to add more gear to their closets. All right, so we see the first drive here from Louisville, get a little jet sweep action, get a little bit of motion. Louisville's not very good this year either, but let's go ahead and skip forward because what matters is the 3rd and 15 play from here. All right, so we see them in an empty set. Florida State in the Delta package as usual in a 2-deep look. This can go into a lot of different looks from here, as we've seen all year. So what you see them drop out, and you see a safety blitz from that spot. Now, that's really good disguise from Stanford Samuels. He doesn't tip it, but the problem is, as they rotate into a single safety, Juwan Pass is still is able to get the ball off. And honestly, this is not good enough from Florida State's edge rusher. If you have a free rusher here from the edge, I think this is DeKalon Brooks here. If you have a free rusher from this spot and he's never touched, you should not be able to get the ball off for a 15-yard completion. You've got to be able to get a hit on the quarterback here. He kind of finesses this and does not come off hard enough. You got to get there, right there. He should be there now. And so that ball should be broken up. That's what you're counting on as a defensive coordinator here. It's 3rd and 15. You're trying to make him throw less than 15 yards. You're trying to take this away. And what you're counting on is between the two of these guys, one of them's going to get home before he's able to make a 15-yard throw. So that's number one, is the rush has to get there. Now you see Warner do a decent job getting out here. Now you don't want to see these guys running into each other. This actually slows down the safety blitz as he's getting into number 2. And it also, he could have gotten this out to this side, absent pressure. Then Nasir Al-Din is dropping into a standard middle zone here. And you have, this is just a three deep. This is just a fire zone. Deep zone, deep zone, deep zone, underneath coverage. So flat, middle. And Pass is able to hit this spot between the safeties and beyond the deep middle spot. This is on Nasir Al-Din. He's got to do a better job. So really, I blame 2 players here. This is good design. I like the design. I like the blitz here, especially since they get really a free rusher. You get your free rusher, the Mike Backer, or I guess maybe the money, whatever the terminology is for him in this Delta package. He's got to get deep middle, or he's got to get intermediate middle. And the thing he should be doing is he should be reading the number 3 guy. He should be reading him through, into the number 2 guy. So basically, if he doesn't see, there's nobody in the backfield to worry about, right? So there's no one back here. He's got to get and mirror back on this player. If he sees a vertical here, he's got a vertical stem, he should carry that vertical as far as he's going to be able to in the middle and try to take anything here away. Honestly, this is the sort of thing that, with more experience in this system, this is going to be potentially an interception, because you're going to see, let me go ahead and make my, I had forgotten to make my cursor a little bit larger, but you're going to see Nasiruddin, or whoever's in this middle area, you're going to see that guy bait this at times in the future, because he'll be able to read this through. Once you know that this is a vertical route and that you don't have an in call from this side, there's nothing to keep you short. You should not, especially on 3rd and 15, you should be getting as much depth with this vertical as possible. So he's doing fine here, but read through. Don't just look at the quarterback. Read your drop, and now from there, as he bends this inside, see, he stands up here. He shouldn't be standing. He should now be matching this route a little bit. This is pattern matching. He's got to match this route underneath a little bit, and this is a good job here on the outside, and I'm not exactly sure who that is. I think that is, that's Woodby. So Woodby does a good job of carrying that on the outside. He still settles a little earlier than I'd like to see. This, by the way, is the same play, or the same concept as last week, the one that we covered in the film session, where they went 2 safeties and Nasiruddin didn't get deep enough. It's a similar thing here, only they have 1 safety deep, and he's playing over the 3. So that's what you get. But basically, you want to mirror just like this, and he wants to be on his hip a little bit more, so he should be another yard deeper now, and he should be transitioning instead of standing up and sitting. You don't want to cover grass, especially at the 5-yard mark on 3rd and 15. You want to sync with this. He should be syncing. He should be transitioning off that right foot toward the middle of the field to take this away right now. He's late on recognizing what's going on. The safety's in decent position, but Nasiruddin really at this point should be standing right here, and that could be an interception if he plays it right, but he's late in recognizing what he's got to do. If he plays it right, there's a chance he gets a hand on this. Either way, it's a really good throw from pass. Not bad from Westbrook, but frustrating to see that 3rd and 15 get converted on that first drive. Now from there, we're going to get to the 2nd and 10. We might as well look at the successful coverage here, or somewhat successful. So here we have your standard quarters look from Florida State. The way this is working, he's got deep quarter out here. He's carrying any deep vertical from the inside. He's got deep vertical here. He's carrying deep from here. Now you have, because it's empty, you're going to get this backside backer that's going to try to fill and get to the middle here a little bit more, and he should be running out a little bit over the curl flat zone there. So that's what you get. Get a good bracket. Nice job by, I guess that's Brooks. And this is Petrino using his slots to try to take advantage of the safeties. He's going to go ahead and concede that he's not getting anything on the corners, and he did that a lot this game. Just have this guy sit down, and now you're going to use these guys in positions where they can try to take advantage of one-on-ones on safeties who don't cover as well as corners. So now, and actually this is man under. This is 2-man under in terms of this, because the nickel here is in man as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to run him on a fade. So you're going to take him out. Now he's got all this extra room as well. So that's the other reason you do that. So this is 3 verticals. Not enough pressure. This is not good enough from Christmas, who's not healthy right now, and you can really tell. Not enough pressure. Not bad from Janarius, getting some. You see, Janarius takes a little bit too wide of a loop here. This is Janarius Robinson, 11. You want to see him hug along the hip line a little bit closer. He's a little bit too deep in terms of how he loops that. That needs to be a little earlier. But he's physical and gets enough pressure to cause some difficulty. Burns gets around as well. And they've got 2 guys bending in this area. This is, again, 3 verts. And he's just throwing to either one of them. Both guys get over the top. The guy that really wins here is Smith over Westbrook. And that is Stanford Samuels from the field safety, also gets beat over top a little bit, but if he makes this catch, he's at least going to get tackled. If Westbrook, if this is a better thrown ball to Smith, then Westbrook isn't catching Smith. Another on empty, and this is the same look up front. The same loop here, same little game. Playing it from one side instead of both now. And that's what you want to see right there. That's pretty good play. So here's what I was actually planning to get to in a moment. Next play. So now you got the sniffer in the ball game. Go next play. This should be, yeah, this is the 2nd and 10. So this is where you're going to see the run. So empty again. You notice, and this is what you're going to see, say, Clemson do as well. If you want to really take advantage of this Florida State defense and you've got talent out wide, I would do a lot of empty against Florida State's personnel, because you're going to force their linebackers and their safeties to do a lot, and then you widen these outside guys out near the sideline. I mean, I would actually push this guy out, to 2-yard split, even above the numbers. Why do that? Because you're going to take these corners out of play. You concede, okay, fine, you can take my outside guy out, but now I'm going to play 9-on-9 on the inside, and you're going to have trouble covering these 3 guys with the guys that you have inside with all that space. And that's what Petrino does here. And this is an example of Jawan Pass being a good athlete in Florida State. Again, when you have all that space and you're not real good in the middle of the field, this opens some of that up. And defensive line needs to do a little bit better job in terms of staying in rush lanes here. Even though this is a loop, you're going to get a little twist here. That's actually much better from Janarius Robinson in terms of staying close. Right there, you want to see him brush the hips as he goes by. He does a good job of getting there. Nice job of drawing the double by Fred Jones initially. So Robinson's able to get penetration and get pressure. That's good. Normally, twist games make it harder for the quarterback to run in some of this, but the problem is that Robinson does get pushed out a little bit. And so you've got Fred Jones trying to play contain. And from there, you've got a problem. And I don't know about you, but he wasn't on the field first couple plays. And this right here does not look like a healthy Jackson. This is a 2nd and 10 play. You got your linebacker here. This is not a good effort. First of all, he looks a little gimpy to me. And if he's not gimpy, that's a Matthew Thomas type effort right there from Jackson. Now, he played pretty well in the box in this game, so I might give him a pass there. But that didn't look very good. So yeah, so from here we get a couple incompletions that I'm not going to spend too much time on. Good job collapsing the pocket here from the Delta package. And that's just a big, strong quarterback. Actually, that's their standard rush package, so pretty good job there. It's the young buck at defensive tackle. Now we get to 3rd and 10, and we're going to get one of the luckiest bounces you will ever see. So now they're back in a Delta package. Now this is an interesting Delta package because now you have the beast. You have Marvin Wilson at the nose, big boy, playing up in here. That's almost like 2 guys on the interior, and now you can twist behind him. And this is where DeKalon Brooks does a better job of hitting this much faster. You notice the acceleration coming in. If he'd had that earlier, the drive would have ended earlier. But now you see Burns with the twist here, and they are very conscious of where Burns is. They're so conscious of that Brooks gets a free shot at the quarterback. Kando does not look good, man. This is just not good get off from Kando. But Brooks gets in there. That is incredibly lucky. how in the world does that ball bounce? Great job by DeKalon Brooks of getting his hand to the ball. Punches the ball, and it bounces straight up like a basketball dribble up in the air, and he's big and strong enough to then corral it. That's pretty good, but man, is that frustrating. That could have turned the game really quickly. You recover that one. So we're going to go ahead and move forward. Let this play out. Now, this is interesting because it's going to give you some sense of tendency in terms of what Florida State's going to do when they're coming out. So this is something I guarantee you Miami's looking at right now. Just, and that, that's a guy, he's one of your better guys up front, but he has shown the last couple of years he will twitch, Dickerson. And he made a huge difference. I mean, just look at him compared to the other offensive linemen. He's a different breed of athlete than some of the other guys up there. You can see he takes care of himself much better, but can't have all the pre-snap penalties. But anyway, they're in the too tight personnel with a sniffer here, and out of this formation you expect duo, and that's what you get. The reason you line up like this is that allows you to double here, it allows you to double the front side tackle, and potentially double another. So you can double two guys on the interior when you have the two tights on one side, and that's what you're trying to do, is to create some push by getting two doubles somewhere up here. And oftentimes you can, depending on the front, you might be able to get three doubles on one side, and that's where you're gonna run. So you see this here. We'll move forward again. Note what you're getting here. Get a combo, double up to the one technique. What I don't like is you're doubling down to this one technique. That's a tough reach for Minshew. He does a good job. But I'd like to see Dickerson hold up a little bit more here, because this angle, this is not very good for McKitty. Against a really good end, and Louisville doesn't have him, this is a safety from the end. End gets right here. End is in the backfield. A really good end, that's a safety. That's concerning. Now, McKitty has blocked pretty well all year, but this is where he's got to do a better job of matching and getting across. You cannot block with your head on that side of that defensive lineman. I think, depending on Dickerson to get a little bit more of a hand. Dickerson's hand here doesn't do a whole lot. A good end gets in there. That's a good run by Akers to even get out of the end zone here. Now, they do a good job on the one technique, and they work back to the three with the center. That's a good job, reasonable job on the center. Eberle gets pushed back a little bit, but that's okay. That's a neutral. It's a stalemate. And then Akers is able to run hard and get that out. But that is awfully close to a safety because of this end right here. And so if you're Miami, if you're somebody watching this, you're telling him, if you see a step inside, get inside now, because they're probably running opposite A-gap, and make the tackle, because you can beat that tight end. Go ahead and crash down. That's a little concerning. So we'll flag some reason for optimism a little bit later, but that's a really good run by Akers. You got everything out of that. Now, once again, you get the H formation. Here you get out of 21. And now you're just getting power. Or counter tray, really. Decent. That's already progress compared to what we've seen in terms of up front. So I wanted to flag this early because you get some run stuff right away. And this is where you can see the difference that Dickerson makes. front side, physicality right there. Boom. He's going backwards. McKitty does a decent job of holding up that edge player just enough for the kick out. That's good, decent by the guard. Not great, but decent. That's good enough. Eberle is good enough on this big one technique on the backside. And really, all that happens here is you've got the extra player in the box. They've got 7 here. That's 6, 7. It's actually not an extra player. He does a good job. Backer does a good job of shooting here and making the tackle. That's pretty good. I can live with that. And again, Akers does a decent job getting 3-4 yards here. And coming out of the end zone, you've already... This is pretty close to a successful drive now, because coming out from the one, your first goal inside the one is get enough space to be able to punt safely. So now they go empty. You notice the difference in splits. When Louisville's empty, their number 3 is usually here. Florida State's empty, and their number 3 receivers, the tight end, but look at how wide their field side slot is. That's interference, by the way. This was a poorly officiated game. Well, it is an ACC game. What can you expect? But you watch here. This is a designed little option route to McKitty on third down. That's a defensive holding right there. This should have been a first down right there. That's holding. But I also am not a big fan of the read here. I kind of like coming to the bottom of the screen to Gavin. I don't mind it though, because it is a one-on-one, and McKitty's been winning those all year. If this is an interference, it's probably a first down. So this is one where I'm okay with it. I like that. I'm okay with it. So not bad. Good read, good throw. That's just interference. It's not called. So from there, we're going to move forward. You see the punt. We're going to get to Louisville's touchdown here. It's just a basic boot. We're not going to focus on that one. Not a whole lot to talk about there. And this is just, they just missed their assignment on the edge. A couple things here. We'll look at this one. All right, so you're in a 4-3 stack look. Right, you're stacked here. Your will backer is the guy that you're expecting to be able to make this play. Now, key here, you've got an edge player up against their H-back here, right? So they're in I guess they got trips to the field here. You've got an edge player here, you've got a safety who's responsible for that edge player. The way this is going to work, he's going to have that C gap here. He's going to have the B gap here. He's actually going to have the B gap. He's going to have the A gap working back, right? Is that a tight end? No, yeah. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, so they're in the same. I'm sorry, I misidentified. That's tight end, and that's an H back. So they're in the same kind of formation that you're going to get Florida State running a lot, and so you're going to expect a lot of double teaming or attempts to hook that end. Here, what they do is they exit so that you're going to get him on a kick out attempt on the end, and then he's going to come up and block that backer. Now, again, the end has the outside of the tight end here. The backer has the gap between the tight end and the tackle. The 3 technique here has between the tackle and the guard. Mike has between the guard and the center. 1 technique here has between the center and the guard. Outside contain, and then between the tackle and the guard here. The key here is this guy has contain outside the H-back. So what he's got to look for, H-back comes inside as the lead blocker. That changes things a little bit so that ideally, the end has kept his leverage against the tight end. So this is Janarius Robinson. The end here needs to keep his leverage against the tight end, and he gets held. Because what's going to happen is when the H-back comes inside, now his gap has moved. So the safety's usually going to have to kind of play this both ways. He's going to have to fill here if the back comes there, and then if he doesn't, he's got the alley. And he doesn't come quite at the angle that you'd like. You'd like him to come a little bit further outside. But if that hold doesn't happen, Robinson probably has it. He's got to get off that block a little better. And then the safety has to come down a little bit better angle. And then he should be able to make that tackle. Instead, you've got a back running up the sideline. Another safety misses the tackle. Lucky he stepped out of bounds. Then we get passes run here in a moment. That's not very good. You've got to make that tackle in the backfield, and you don't want to see a back carrying several guys forward. So empty again, in a man under. That just gets really easy. And basically, this is just the quarterback recognizing coverage, recognizing that there's nobody really accounting for him. As soon as he sees a lane, he's gone. And this is where the defensive tackles have to do a better job of staying in their lanes against a quarterback that can move. So you have man here, backers scatter, backer runs with. Yeah, interesting. This actually looks like, I'm trying to remember the term now, because these backers are not playing exactly man. But this outside backer, your nickel effectively, your star, is playing man. Saban does this to take away the slot, and I'm trying to remember what it is, but it's basically you're playing man with the corners and the slot, but zone with the backers. This is where the backers get pushed outside just a little bit too far. Then they should have their eyes on the quarterback a little bit better. But yeah, that's a good play by the quarterback. Sometimes you're going to give one up. The other thing that you have to do if you're going to have guys playing man under is right here. This is Wilson trying to make a play, but he's got to stay in his gap. So Burns is getting upfield. Wilson is attacking this shoulder. You'd like to see him maybe right here in this gap instead on the pass rush. If he's here and compresses that a little bit better, quarterback can't step right into that. So the gap between the tackles gets too wide, and that's what leads to this, along with a little bit of backers moving a little bit. All right. So that was pass on the touchdown. Now we're going to get to the Florida State first series touchdown. So let's go ahead and get through this series, and then we'll move forward a little bit. They should have called that more than they did. There were too many of those. All right, so now you're 1st and 5. This looks like a jet sweep formation, and it's the young guy. You're going to get the jet sweep, and it doesn't matter that you expect it because he's really fast. Now, once again, Louisville in this game also seemed to expect jet when you had certain personnel groups and certain motions. They expected it. They're reacting to it well here. The way this is working is Francois appears to be reading the wrong way here. You'd like to see his face mask. He's supposed to be reading this guy. I'm not sure what he's looking at. It looks to me like he's looking over here. The way that this should work is he should be reading here. Because if this guy crashes down at the quarterback, which he more or less does, he comes down a little bit, then you hand it off. If he widens out, then the quarterback has to come backside. But I'm not sure why he's looking backside here. He does this elsewhere. in this game, and it was on the Akers jet sweep. And ultimately, I'm not sure what his path is here either. I'm not sure why he's coming upfield this way. The path, if he doesn't hand this off, should be to follow Eberle, which actually, if he does keep it here, he's got numbers to this side. This could be a good play. But once again, Harrison is going to be a real weapon. And now you get another solid run. This is Akers running hard. He definitely ran more physically in this game than he has over the course of this year so far. When he got in traffic, you could see him really lower the shoulder and get physical. Once again, this is a 21 personnel. Did a good amount of this last week. Did even more of it this week. And what this is allowing a lot of double teams. Double teams inside. So now you get double team on the one technique, and it's going to work its way up to the mic. Double team on, so you get the double team on both tackles. Right here and right here. Double team on the 3. Up to the backside linebacker, up to the weak side. Double team on the 1. Up to the mic, and that's why you get a successful play. And that's good running, that's good football. If Florida State can keep doing this right here is what Willie Taggart wants. This is Willie Taggart football right here. If you want to know what the identity of the Gulf Coast offense ultimately is, you're going to see the spread, you're going to see wide splits, and you're going to see a handoff to a running back with a double team somewhere at the point of attack. Here you have 2 of them. And a running back hitting that A-gap hard and getting 6-7 yards. That is Willie Taggart football. He actually gets about 8 there. That's a good run. And that's good blocking up front. Offensive line looked much, much better against Louisville than they had previously. Part of that is Louisville not being very good. Part of that is Landon Dickerson being back and getting a little bit healthier inside. Now, Dickerson he's unlikely to play against Miami, from what I understand. Dickerson not being likely to play against Miami is a problem. So now you're in the same look. Looks like they go back to the same well. That's the same play. But they don't get the same movement on the interior. And Akers, I think, actually gives up on this a little too early. He tries to bounce this. Really, what he's got to do here, he's got to kind of stick it. Because he doesn't have anything out here. He's got to do the Le'Veon Bell on this kind of play. This is what you're going to see Le'Veon Bell kind of skip and wait for the seam, and then you've got to stick it vertically in here still. What you can't let happen is that guy shoot as you're coming out, and now you let your tackle lose leverage. Akers made the mistake here. He's got to press this. And really, I mean, I can't see the back view, but I think he's got to stick this in here and try to get about a yard. There's not much there, but you can't lose. Well, you got lucky getting back to the line of scrimmage, and that's a lot of fight to get back to the line of scrimmage. But you really should get about a yard there given the blocking. And now you get a little riff off of that, little wrinkle off of that same formation. Getting the H-back, coming inside. So you're running what looks to be the same thing, but instead of doubling there, you're actually moving the opposite direction, and you're having a little kick out. So this is just split zone. Everybody steps right, step right, and then you get the H-back coming across. So split zone out of that. And that's a good run by Akers. That's tough sledding right there. Now you get your empty set. And this, I really like this empty set for them. I think this personnel-wise ends up being really good in terms of creating some interior mismatches. Now here, the mismatch wound up being Keith Gavin out of that number 3 spot. It's interesting to see him moving into the number 3 spot. Previously this year, he'd mostly been lined up out here. This time we see 89 in here. That means they're getting comfortable enough to start moving guys around a little bit. Guys are able to figure out what they're supposed to be doing. So you can move him a little bit. So now the reason you put Keith Gavin in here is he's a mismatch against this safety. So now you call a little crosser with Gavin. Nice anticipation and an excellent throw by Francois. They get a little bit of pressure. Not the best job by Brady Scott. You know, he kind of whiffs on that initial. But what I like about Scott is he whiffs, he loses, he gets beat on the hand fighting early, but he still gets a hand on it and still is able to push just a little bit. And that's the difference between Francois getting that throw off and not. And Gavin is turning into the player that some of us thought he would be. And then you get a really nice look to Terry. This should have been an easy touchdown. This is the possum concept or the bear butt that we've talked about before. Again, UNC calls it possum. Clemson calls it bear butt. And all you're looking at is this is an RPO concept for the quarterback. What's happening here is this one, actually, I'm not sure if he's reading or not. I think this is a full pass. Let me see the steps by the receiver. 1, 2, 3. No, that is not a read. You're not going to read on a 7-step. So this looks just like the possum concept, but this is just a skinny post off of outside zone action. So this is a play action pass, not an RPO. You can see it with the pass sets here. They're not getting upfield, block and run, and you can't run a possum or bear butt concept with the 7-step from the outside wide receiver, from any wide receiver. So that's your standard skinny post. But what they know is that this safety is going to come downhill against this outside zone action. So that gives you a one-on-one. If the receiver is able to get a little bit of leverage, he's playing inside leverage here. Receiver has to head him up a little bit, slide inside. If he's able to get inside position, this should be a touchdown. And play action on first down, I love it. I've been advocating for more of that. Throw it less, but throw it more on first down. That's all I have to say. Throwing it on first down, Francois makes a really good throw. And, you know, his stats weren't real good first half, but you look, that throw out of on 3rd and 5 out of the end zone, good throw, should have been a pass interference. This one, incomplete, but this could not be much more on the money. That right there is pretty close to perfect location. That's just a bad drop by Terry. Not even getting a defensive back's hands on it. That right there should be a touchdown. And this is where Terry has been a little inconsistent at times. You don't see it all the time in games. He hasn't had these issues in games because he hasn't had all that many opportunities. But this is why, when people say, well, he's got to be the number 1. Well, not necessarily. He's not quite ready to be the number 1, but he is the big deep threat, which, you see that basically every week now. Now, I want you to notice the H-back here is arcing, and he's running the wheel. This is what they're going to come back to later in the game, and instead of going to the skinny, which he does here, Francois, and this is a courageous throw, by the way. Francois does get hit in the mouth right here. Nice job making a good throw. Receiver should have given you one here. But you notice they've got this wheel route from the tight end coming up behind it against a linebacker. They came back to this and scored on it in the second half. He just made the other throw. Same position in the field, and they came back to it and scored in the second half. So now 1st and 10, that's frustrating. And, I was wondering at this point, are they going to start going, here we go again? Or are they going to are they going to recover and score on this possession? I love this. I love this call. We have this call at the high school that I coach at. I wish we would run it more often because it's really, really hard on the defense because you're putting your best player, your best offensive weapon, Akers, the guy that they're keying on, coming out this direction. All the attention's there. Quarterback looks over there. What's safety doing? He's already getting off his hash a little bit, and now you're releasing the offensive line. They're not thinking screen to that side. And now you get a nice release. Good job by by Arnold getting a hand on somebody. Minshew gets downfield and falls down. Not bad. And this is a walk-in. When was the last time you can remember Florida State having success on a little tunnel screen? This is really well run, really well executed. You can tell they spend their time on this in practice. Love it. That's good design. Yeah, excellent stuff. Really happy with that. And that's a really nice job to save that for the play after. So right as I was thinking, watching this game, are they going to go, oh, geez, here we go again. We can't do anything right. Here it is. We dropped one. This right here is a really good play call. Hand it to Taggart for a really good play call to take advantage of a look that you were going to get and to come right back with something that's going to help morale immediately by giving an easy throw and a chance to potentially make a big play. That's a really good call in that context, because they were definitely expecting run or expecting throw to Akers on the perimeter or Francois keeps. The last thing they were expecting is to go short side right there, and that's a really good call. Really liked it. All right, so we're going to see the touchdown drive from Louisville on the next one. Not good kick coverage, but we're not going to spend our time on that. Another fumble that Florida State could have recovered. Oh, we had a commercial. That's pretty rare that Cinefunk, the great Cinefunk from whom I got this, once again, thanks again to him being one of the most valuable assets for Florida State. For anybody studying anything on Florida State stuff or just wanting to watch games again. So once again, you see that they're working to trips, and this is something that, again, Florida State's going to see a lot of all year. You're going to see a lot of trips because of the matchups that it can create against the secondary, and now you're going to see this is just a little waggle, making sure that pass has time to throw, changing the angles, steps up into the pocket, makes a throw that he has not made all year, and ultimately, this is when you tip your hat. That's a really good throw. You got a little inside. I think he's lined up at the number 2 here. Yeah, he's lined up at the number 2. You have a third guy here. What you're running is they're running a slot fade or slot go on the outside against Fagan, or maybe this might be an out and up. Yeah, that's an out and up. So he's going to get Fagan trying to come out and then up. Fagan does a good job of not biting on it, but that's a good receiver and a great throw. Sometimes you're going to give that up. That's you just tip your cap. This, however, recover for a couple yards. It's okay. Now, this is Petrino doing what Petrino does. Notice that he motions the outside guy to the number 2 spot to a tight look. Now you have the corner who's in on the big receiver in here. And he knows that the number 2 guy, who's going to be covering him? The safety out of this look, because you're in a quarters look. Now you're going to get some help if the backer doesn't come off the edge. The backer should be coming out here. But what's going to happen? Corner has to get out of here. You're going to have to get coverage here, and because the backer comes, as soon as that backer comes, you've got this. That's a rub route. Safety. There's no way that the safety can get there. That's just Petrino being ready for the kind of coverage that Florida State runs. And that's about it. That's about what you're going to get as the Florida State secondary. That's good design. Sometimes you get caught in just the right look, and that's what Petrino does. Trips to the field. Once again, you're looking at trying to take advantage right here or right here. And get numbers to the edge, but that's only a 1-yard gain. You're okay with that as a defense, except that it's a first down. Trips to the field, same kind of look. And Petrino tries to do to Florida State just what Florida State did to him with a double screen. Screen to the backside, screen to the front side. So he's taking whatever he can get. Screen here. Brooks takes it away. Nice. And this is why he's playing. If you're wondering why Brooks is playing and why he's out here, he's not a physical freak. He's not a guy that's a great player. But when it comes to recognizing and being in his spot and all that, he does a pretty good job. And this is a big play, taking this away, because there's really not any help out here. If he doesn't take this away, it might be a touchdown. Instead, you're getting the tackles are already recognizing that this is Burns and Fred Jones that are recognizing that their guys took off upfield. They smell a rat, get upfield, and that's well played. So same kind of misdirection screen that Florida State ran, a little bit of a different concept, but same idea. Florida State stops it cold. So some good signs of life here. And then there's that. In the H-back, what happens here? You see a triple team on the one tech, on the, I guess, they an adult. Yeah, he's the one tech here. So you've got the backer who has the B gap. You've got C gap from the big end out here, and the A gap from the tackle. This is Durden here. A gap right there. And then you should have the backers fill in A gap here. If you get a pull, he moves over. And you do see the double team. Brooks is late to trigger here. Brooks should already be coming downhill to fill this hole. And that's where this gets in trouble. So Brooks should have the B gap here. He's coming here. He's in the A gap. Brooks has to fill the B gap. Instead, where's Brooks? He's on the wrong side. And you know what's interesting? Hold on, let me take a look at something. Well, so this is where sometimes not knowing the play call can be complicated. In a normal front, Brooks has this B gap for sure. But if you watch Fred Jones, he is slanting to take away the A gap here. That may mean that Durden has the responsibility of slanting as well and taking B gap here, which would then push Brooks into the A gap. So Durden would have to be here. Now, the problem is that you have an H here. So once you have a sniffer, even if he does come here, and even if he does take the A, you're still going to have somebody account for the sniffer. If the sniffer comes outside, you're going to have somebody take the outside responsibility. That may be Brooks. Or if the sniffer lead blocks, you're going to have somebody lead block. Florida State gets out-gapped here. Yeah, so that's what's going on. You've got the blitz from the other side. So he's filling... Yeah, this should be working this way. So, okay, so here's what's going on. He's in the A. He normally would have B gap, but he moves to the A gap to vacate it for the blitz here. He's coming wide. He's filling B gap. Now he has backside A gap. Durden should be taking B gap here, and then Brooks kicks out to C gap or wherever the H goes. So, yeah, this is on Brooks. As soon as he steps inside, see him step outside. Now he's stepping inside. Brooks needs to fill. That's Brooks right here. He's got to fill that. You got two backers in the same gap. That allows basically a triple team on Durden. Back is able to follow that out, and that's a problem. The other thing that I don't like here is Ime is way too far upfield. Ime needs to compress this. You got to long arm that a little bit and compress that angle just a little bit more. He gets pushed out, makes a lot of space. But yeah, this is Brooks jumping around, not being where whereas on the last play he did exactly what his job is. He's completely out of his gap here, and that's bad. That leads to a 15-yard run and a first down. Next play is in the backfield, does a little better job. I'm not going to flag or not going to spend my time on that. And here we have the touchdown. Once again, 21 personnel. Are they unbalanced here? Yeah, they've got an extra tackle in here or an extra tight end. They might be in 31. So they got an extra guy here. Then you're H-back there, and they've got an extra tackle here. So they're unbalanced. Florida State's recognizing that. That's why they're smaller on this side, and they've got the defensive line favoring this side. But there's the problem. The whole thing was a setup to basically get the look on the backside. They know from watching last week that Harlan Barnett and not just last week but prior weeks, that Barnett shares Mickey Andrews' philosophy on the goal line and will typically bring that edge guy, the corner here. So they're going to take advantage of that, try to get him to come up field, and nobody is in position for that. Tight end or H-back. Should be Nasir Al-Din is covering there. Yeah, he's stuck because there's a bust here. I think this might be Brooks again. Brooks comes hard down against the run, but his job is to play this first. He's got to play physical on this guy and make sure that he doesn't just get a free release and he's stuck in no man's land. That's on Brooks again. At least I'm guessing. Sure looks like it. So we're going to skip a little bit. Let's see. Do we have another? Where are the next scores? Yeah, here we go. Yeah, we're going to go to the, let's see, this would be the 2:18 mark of the second quarter. Set up for Louisville's last drive of the first half. Don't want to spend too much time. So we're second and 11, so loss of 1 on the first run. And that's just too easy. Problem here is you bring a blitz, and you're just not good enough at the backers at times. And you got to get more pressure from the inside on this blitz. This is where, Marvin Wilson needs to compress the, or that, no, that's the young buck. That's 91. He needs to compress that pocket a little bit more. Quarterback is not threatened by any of that pressure. And against quarters, this is stealing. As soon as that guy blitzes, you got no chance here. This is just a little out route. You have to honor the vertical because you're covering him deep. There's just nothing. If you can't get pressure there, that's going to be stealing. If the quarterback can make the throw, you don't have a chance. So 3rd and 1, empty. Or I'm sorry, pistol. Jeez. And run a little read play here. And honestly, if I'm Florida State here, I want to see pass have to pull this. Good runner. But I might want to see that end crash down and pull that and see if maybe my backer can come off and make the tackle. But I understand not doing it the other way. So this right here, you've just got to see the backer get a little bit better, little more trigger, a little quicker trigger on this. He's step into the zone, and he's got to fill there. You got to get a win on the interior. Not bad defense. You just got to get a win there. Same play as earlier. And Florida State's doing the same blitz. So once again, this is stealing. You send this guy, and there's just nothing you can do as that safety. You're playing off. You have to honor the deep threat. He's faster than you are, and he's a big boy. There's just nothing you can do, and that is a rhythm throw. You rep that 100 plus times a week. Short side. There's nothing you can do. And if you can't get pressure there, you're going to have to change something up. And the backers need to do a better job. If you're getting in here, you've got to not just hit. What I want to see here, you see him starting to set, don't just run into the blocker. Get your hands up. Your best bet against this is for the rush to actually get the hands up in the passing lane. So Jackson has the right idea. Brooks needs to get his hands up. Deflect this ball. You know where he's probably going. He's going to try to fill where you vacated. Deflect get your hands up. Don't just run into the guy supposed to block you. This is good defense here. Little quarterback counter. And that's just Jackson. Jackson recognizes and triggers. This is good linebacker play here. There's not been a whole lot of it this year, so I'm gonna flag it when it's there. Look at Jackson. What he's looking at, he's got this A gap. As soon as he sees that puller right here, and he sees this block down, he knows his job is to hit this seam hard and try to avoid getting blocked by that guard. Does it? Gets into the backfield. That's good linebacker play. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter because they do a good job of this time. There's one time where they beat the outside corner. That's just a big receiver being bigger than the guy he's up against and not able to get enough pressure. And it's moments like that where it didn't look real good because pass right here on this drive looked awfully good. And this is again another Petrino another thing that Petrino will cause problems with. He's going to run you off and then run a little whip out here, and there's nobody out there. And Florida State is just not fast enough, not good enough underneath at this point. Got your true freshman. He's not quite in the right spot. He mirrors, and then you want him to be on the... Oh. This is where the communication's just a little off. So you see the back coming out of the backfield, and that affects the freshman's read. That affects what we get here from 20. You're going to see the back come out, but he should be mirroring out into here. Don't cover grass, and don't cover a guy who's already covered. Communicate, see where his eyes are. He gets distracted here. He should be mirroring outside. And this is just freshman stuff. As he gets out there, that's probably not a catch, or it's an immediate tackle, but it's just, again, that's why when you play freshman, you're going to sometimes have those issues. Even if he's as talented as this kid. What is pass doing there? Yeah, and that is a forward pass, but that is a grounding. Way too much time. Good call. Again, Louisville's offensive line is not all that good. This right here, not good enough. And there's too much. What I don't like right now when I'm seeing some of these twists is there's too much. See how he's not pressing the line of scrimmage out of this twist? He's searching. It's too late. You got to get in there. You got to be there now. And that's way too much time. That's a really tough ask. It's a good call. $17 seconds to go, and this is just very, very difficult to defend. I love these concepts. You've got a little smash concept down here, and Petrino runs it the way that I run it, which is you have a little whip here to attract the safety or to attract the corner. Because a lot of teams, what they'll do is most teams run it with a hitch. They'll run the smash, which is usually a flat route or a hitch route, and a corner route. This is actually a Jimbo staple. He runs it all the time. But Petrino runs it a lot of times with this little whip route. And the design of that is against a team that plays with aggressive corners. The corner has to honor that before passing it off. And if the corner has a deep zone here, which he does, if it's just a hitch, he's going to sink a little bit, and he can kind of play both. If he has to come in here a little bit, you're going to be able to get a guy back there with a little more depth. See, corner has to honor it a little bit. He's waiting on it to come out, and now it's a little late. And receiver does a good job. Quarterback throws him inside and away from the corner. Really close to being there for Samuel, but it's just that's a good offensive play. Petrino coaching it well. Pass, hitting a throw he hadn't hit most of the year, and then Florida State's lucky they got on that one. So now we'll go to the second half. Now, questions. I haven't looked over here for a while. Let's see. We've got Jake in here. Sorry for you've asked a couple questions. I haven't looked over on that screen for a little bit. But let's go ahead here and publish one. Were the missed assignments largely on the linebackers in this game or more on the safeties? When Barnett mentioned dumbing down the defense, how do you think he'll adjust for Miami? Yeah, it was a little bit of both, and really a lot of it is trying. I've tried to flag a few places. Hopefully, it's been clear in some of these cases where the backers have not mirrored where they're supposed to. Their drops have been they've not pattern matched. They've not figured out, okay, this is this formation. I've got to read number 2 through number 3, and I've got to match it this way. They weren't always in their spots on that. Safety-wise, I actually thought the safeties in the first half, for the most part, were doing what they were supposed to do, but in a couple cases, they were just getting physically beat. So I think more of the missed assignments in this game came from the linebackers than from the safeties. But again, it was a little bit of both. And again, I'll try to flag some more as we go from there. Now, for the rest of it, let's see. We got another question. You go publish. Here we go. One more. With some of these quarterback reads, how much would I pin this on Francois' inability to make a proper read or the coaching staff's inability to coach the offense this far into the season? It's hard to assign blame on that. We'll see some of this in the second half, but it's hard to assign blame exactly to one side or another there. If Francois is not able to do it, that falls on the coaching. And it's the same stuff I would say last year and prior years when Fisher would say, well, they're not executing. And people would say, well, you're blaming the players. Well, whose fault is it that the players don't execute? What's the coach's job to get him to execute? So to some degree, it's on coaching to make sure that he's able to do it better. But at the same point, if the player is just not willing or not able, I mean, go back to E.J. Manuel being unwilling to run the ball as a quarterback, you're going to have sometimes some issues that go beyond the coaching staff. So I think some of it is coaching, that you're still trying to get the kid used to doing what he's doing, and you just have to rep it, and you have to rep it, and you have to correct it, and you fix it. Some of it is on Francois. I don't think he's unable. I think in some cases he's been unwilling, and in some cases he's just been sloppy. But he's shown in the past that he's been able at times. So I think there's still room for him to. I think there's still a chance that we'll see better play in that regard as the season goes on. And he's gotten a little bit better at it, but on some plays he's not reading the right guy, and that's what you're getting. Once again, Akers here. Now this is a read. Well, no, it's not. This is a give all the way. He's just doing play action. This is actually good attention to detail by Francois, at least forcing that backside guy to keep with him. But because they're blocking that end, that's not a read. If that was a read, you'd see this guy moving up the next level. He'd be reading this end. Instead, they're loading that, and that's Akers. And tell you what, that is hard running. This is the first game all year where I was really impressed by how hard Akers ran. I mean, and he's taken a lot of shots, and he always runs hard. But in this game, I was impressed by how he ran downhill and just was able to deliver the blow at times. And this is why this drive stalled. Now, this is frustrating because this is an example of what you're talking about in terms of quarterback missing reads. They got a little yo-yo type motion here. And honestly, this should be a pull. Now, I don't know whether, again, we've talked about this. We talked about this last week on this film review. We talked about this last week that I think there's a lot of these read plays that right now they're not letting him read because he's not showing that he's capable of doing it all the time. So they're trying to call it from the box on what they think is going to happen. So this should be a quarterback pull. If he pulls this right now, look at what happened. I mean, this right here, this is 10, 15 yards, even with Francois running like Dan Marino, because everybody is coming to Akers. Everybody is following those pullers. But right now, everybody knows every time it's going to be a jet sweep. Look at them coming downhill. Everybody coming there. They're not honoring the backside at all. And that should be a pull. Now, I can guarantee you, I will be shocked if we don't see this same action against Miami and Francois keep it. Because Miami will match this in almost exactly the same defensive look. And you're going to see Francois keep it, and he's going to end up one-on-one with this guy. We'll see what happens, but wouldn't be surprised. I'll be surprised if we don't see that same action and Francois keep it. Because right there, you see this? You're going to look at this on film, and you're going to tell DeAndre, your read is this guy right here. If he starts coming with the back, you take off. Right there, go. We get a little punt. We're going to get a punt on this, and I'm not going to focus too much on non-significant drives. Every drive is significant, but I'm going to focus on a couple scoring drives late to show what happened. Once again, I really like the way they're running these tunnels. They're doing a good job of setting, drawing, and then getting upfield. That's good work, and really Nooney misses the chance to turn this into a first down. It's a good run, but what he's got to do here is he's got to recognize that he's got to stick this. He's got to know where the line to gain is and hit it hard. Instead of trying to shift gears and get it outside for the big play, get upfield. But again, you can't really blame him too much because he kind of is hiding behind the official. And if he's able to hit this just a little bit different, he gets that first down easily. So that's how close they were on that. Finally getting punts off without fear of getting them blocked all the time. All right, let's move forward. We'll go to one of the more impressive drives later in this game. Should be 2:39 in the fourth, or in the third, that is. Well, first of all, let's look at something that I find fun to watch. This is DJ Matthews, a little hesitation, and even if you're not trying to deceive that you fair caught this, I tend to like it as a returner. If you can take a minute to hesitate just a second, a lot of times that allows you to hit upfield with a little bit more burst and a little bit more vision. Nice job, and he is fun to watch. Gets them in good position, and now as a play caller, you get this on the 45. If I'm talking to the offensive coordinator upstairs, I'm going, we got a chance to take a shot here. Field position. Think field position. We got a chance to take a shot. And Taggart does exactly that here. He sets it up. This looks like the run packages that they've had all game. They get the look that they've wanted. They've run it so much on first down that they're getting this look. You notice they're in an H-back. They're in 21, so they got a tight end and an H-back. That is designed to give them a 7-man box with 2 safeties committed as well. They're getting a quarters look. Those safeties are stepping up. They've seen this This is the same defense Harlan Barnett is running. Getting a quarters look. These safeties are interested in that run, and this is a max protect pass all the way, and this is beautiful. Helps to have Dickerson out there, I got to say, and they do a good job of blocking that up inside, and that's just kind of unfair. This guy's got a little bit of yeah, well, I'm just not even going to bring up names because he's got some special in him when it comes to going upfield, that vertical ability, because not many guys run vertically like this. This is why when we talked about him during the recruiting process, we were talking about one of the most talented, even though he wasn't highly rated, one of the most talented upsides, one of the highest upsides of anybody Florida State had recruited at the position in a long time when they got him. And this is why. That big frame, and he is just running away, and all of a sudden it is a ball game. But what I love is that they committed to the run here enough that now they're getting these looks. This is a look you get on first down in this field position. You take these shots. And now once you start doing this a little bit more, you get the looks that you want, and you start winning these, and they start having to play those safeties back, and now you're getting the looks that you want against the run again. This opens the run. The run has opened this up. This is what you want to get in terms of balance on offense. And we talked about this before the season, and I want to point out, Gavin actually is in pretty good shape off the corner as well, but the safeties are getting back into that middle of the field, so that's why that becomes an easy read for Francois. Just throw to the guy who ran by him. But yeah, this is where, you know, there's some potential. We talked in the offseason about this about what kind of pass offense they're going to have. They're not going to throw it as much, but when they do, this is what you're going to see more of, and this will help open those passing lanes much more. So let's see. All right. Got another question here. Any idea of what the tell is on offense when it comes to the jet sweeps? The biggest problem I have in determining what that tell is that I can't see the film view from the end zone. I think for Miami, there may be a chance that they'll have that they'll be showing the camera behind the offense. I'm trying to remember, Skycam view, and if I can see the Skycam view, then I want to take a look to see whether or not it has to do with the splits of the offensive line, or maybe the weight balance of one or two of the offensive linemen in terms of where they're headed. But a lot of times, if you're expecting to run it outside, you may see a guy widen that split just a little bit. And if the defense is reading the splits of the offensive line, maybe that's the tell. Other than that, post snap, it's obvious right now that it's going to be a jet sweep, because post snap, every time it's a jet sweep, you're seeing that H-back head to the outside, and when it's not a jet sweep, he's coming across the field. Now we're going to come back and take a look at this in a moment. But that H-back is going to come across the field, or across the formation as a lead blocker when it's not been a jet sweep, and so teams are responding to that post snap and, you know, reading their keys properly. At some point, they're gonna throw and again, Miami week is when you do that. You break tendency and you run the jet when that guy's coming inside, and you see if maybe they'll read it and go on your tendency. But this is the week to break that tendency. So we'll see if that changes. But I suspect maybe it has to do with splits. I haven't found anything else, and since I can't see the back side of that without getting coach's film on that, and I don't have access to that right now, that's the only way to really learn that for sure. All right, so once again, Delta package on third down. Again, this is something that Barnett takes a lot of pride in, is third down stuff, and this is where I think you're going to see some of the simplification, because they're moving around a lot here, trying to disguise, doing all this. They get the pressure on the quarterback that you want, Not bad from Woodby getting in there. But that's a great throw, and this is a miss by the safety. Safety has to actually take inside leverage here. He's expecting on this blitz. They've run that out route so much that I think what's happening is the safety is expecting this out off of that blitz action that they'd gotten first downs on before enough. He's expecting that out, and instead he turns up inside, and that's a great throw. He's not too far off. The coverage isn't bad, but then you get a little bit of a bad angle. Nice job by Nasiruddin saving a touchdown there. And it doesn't matter. Why? Because there's a block in the back here. Right there. So that helps keep this from being as big of a play as it could have been. I think there was, Now this series was huge because if Louisville's able to score here and punch this ball in for a touchdown, this game this game's probably over, just in terms of psychologically. This is a big stop. Good job by Fred Jones getting something there, but this is where Christmas is one-on-one here, and he doesn't win. Burns is one-on-one here. You've got to get more pressure from this side in this look. Right now, they're sliding to the left. You've got to win the one-on-one. Burns, you got to win the one-on-one. That's way too much time for Puma pass to make the throw. And once again, this is where, that's beautiful. If you look at the route here, this is, again, they're taking advantage of the safety. They know he's one-on-one. They know they've got that middle of the field open. And what he's doing is he's reading this, because we run the same thing. I run the same thing. You get a smash on this side, get the wheel or the whip route, you get the corner route. He's reading this safety, and then if that safety takes off to the corner route, he knows he's got the middle of the field here, and all he has to do is he's coming back to check this safety. Can this guy get inside? So see eyes on the safety. Now he checks backside, looks at safety here, and this is on the backside a nice little concept because he sells the corner. Looks like it's going to be a double smash. Looks like he's going to have smash here. He sells the corner and stomps it and heads inside. This is what's called a shake route. So you fake the corner, and boom, right there inside. That is really tough to cover if you can protect it. Now, if you are the safety, you should be reading not only your number 2 guy, but take a look at his route. They don't tend to run smash concepts with a vertical stem from this guy. So you know he's not coming to the outside if he's reading correctly. This is where the defensive backs miss some stuff as well. So you're looking at him. You shouldn't just be looking at him, though. You should be reading through to what stem is this? Vertical stem. Now I know I've got to protect middle of the field. That's how that should go for that safety. He's got a vertical stem. I have middle of the field. I'm going to have to protect inside because you're not going to run short side 2 verticals on the outside. You're going to have to protect middle. So he should not get turned around here based on that vertical stem. And if I'm Petrino, actually, if I want to design this a little better against quarters, I actually want to run him on a whip as well because that'll make that look like a smash more, and you can't read that correctly as a safety, but that's not what he does. In any case, this should have been a touchdown. Pass has plenty of time. He hurries this. He throws it a little bit too early to throw it with that trajectory. If he doesn't rush it, that's a touchdown. But this is great design by Petrino to get what he wants one-on-one. And he designs it, you notice, to get it one-on-one with Westbrook rather than one-on-one with Stanford Samuels, who I think is going to cover this route just a little bit better. Westbrook, though, didn't have a terrible game. Now you're getting cover 2 on 2nd and 10. This is, you notice they're sitting, they're carrying the verticals a little bit. But this is, again, this is a bust. This should have been a touchdown. You got the 2 safeties, should be on the hashes. This is what happened against Northern Illinois as well for that long play. Right here. Number 2 came in. You're going to have to get help up the seam from one of the underneath players. And the safety, and this is the second time where I've seen this from Samuels, where he's getting outside too far on the cover 2 look. See how he's running to the cover 2? He should be staying on the hash here, and Westbrook should be settling a little bit on right over top there. That's a little bit too wide for each guy, for my taste. I mean, he needs to be right in here. This is to the field. I want him on the hash. If he's on the hash, he can react to this, but he took off outside the hash because he's trying to take away the number 1. But the problem is, you've got a number 2 here who's on a seam right up the middle. This is a problem, and if they don't get this fixed, Miami's going to score 2 or 3 times this way. And this is, again, this should have been a touchdown. This is just lucky. And the backer here, I don't know who that is. Is that 35? Oh, no, that's Burns dropping in the middle. That's part of the problem. Is there zone blitz in here? And Burns is getting here. You don't have enough depth to cover that inside seam. You got it. That's what Tampa 2 will do, is it'll give you somebody up in here. But this is just not good enough. And this is one of the things they're going to have to simplify. They're going to have to say, get on that hash, stay on that hash, stay over top, get your depth, but you cannot commit to the outside vertical as long as there's an inside guy coming as well. You've got to make sure that you don't give up that inside seam, because you can't pass that off here because you got a vertical here. So both of these guys are open, but this is a touchdown, and pass just misses it. And again, there's no pressure. This is 7-on-7. That's a 7-on-7 throw. That should have been a touchdown. Can't miss that. That's lucky. Delta package. Same cover 2 look, but because there's no vertical on this side, the safety's able to step up and bracket. So Samuels is actually more where I want him here on the hash against the trips to the field, and they run a draw. This is just Petrino basically giving up out of frustration of calling 2 touchdowns and neither one scores. And then this is the difference in the ballgame. Those 2 plays don't score. Both of them should have. And, yeah, that's your difference. And Petrino trying to get clever again with a little sky kick, kick into somebody that he doesn't expect to be able to catch it that well. And good job by 26 there. Not a bad run. Let's move forward. Now, I want to go forward to, let's see. We're going to get to the 4th and 1 here in a minute. Once again, we got the problem on the jet sweep. Now this should have been a read. My goodness. Now, I don't know, again, I don't know for sure that they're not just telling him to give this. But this has to be a read. And you've got to make this a read. If it's not an option to read, it needs to be. And if it is a read, then he's doing it wrong. He's reading the wrong side. His face mask is pointed this way. The guy he's reading is right here. That's who he should be reading. When he steps out, when he arcs out, you can't hand that ball off. That's got to go back to the quarterback. And the thing is, if you hit this, if the quarterback's running this ball, this is a gain. You've got a hook here. You've got a lead blocker coming up to get him. You've got the tight end there. There's nobody else up there. That should be a big gain. Instead, Akers has to fight and claw and scratch for a 2-yard loss. That's really frustrating. And if Francois is reading this, he is really hurting the offense here. And if they're not letting him read it because they're not confident in it, well, that's another story. But that's got to be a read. My goodness, that's so terrible. And again, I'm inclined to think that this isn't a read right now because of where his face mask is, because that's bad fundamentals on his part if he's reading this side on this play at all. This is the read key. You don't block him. You bring these guys around to block the whole edge. So that's where your read is. But man, well, here's an interesting thing. I want to look closer. Oh, okay. I wanted to blame Francois completely on this, but I'm not sure he's not trying to pull this. Look at this right here. Look at his hands. Come on, man. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look like he's trying to pull it. Nah, I think he's giving it, but either way, he's got to keep that. Yeah. What is he saying to the sideline? He's saying something. I'm not sure whether or not he was trying to pull that, but either way, he's reading the wrong guy. So, we can settle on that. Another really good play call here. So 3rd and 12, you can't protect, or you've had trouble protecting all year. You run a little tight end screen, and this is something not many teams can run because you don't have the personnel to run it in terms of the tight end. Let him go a little bit, and now you're able to cross up, and because it's behind the line of scrimmage, you're able to block the guy that's responsible for the tight end in a man-to-man look. There's nobody there. McKitty gets there, and he should have gotten this first down. But he trips, comes up short, and this is one thing I really like. 13 minutes left in this game, 14-24. I'm not sure that Jimbo goes for this. This is Taggart making the right call, and this is not blocked all that well. Same play they've been running in this context. They get a good block on the one technique, and that's why this succeeds. But once again, McKitty has the same problem he did on the goal line. Defensive end gets inside, and Neighbors doesn't really get anything. He's got to get in here and either help on the end or work his way up to that backer. That backer is able to get a clean shot on Akers. Akers runs hard and gets a yard. That's, again, Akers being a stud. 1 yard there is a good play. Once again, another false start. It's been a problem. Your read is right here, man. It's not a bad read, but here's the problem. You got a puller, Minshew. You're kicking him out. Kick him out. You can't whiff. Whoops, whiff, and woof. That's bad. Minshew has not been good as a puller this year. It's too slow a foot and has just been struggling. Good play there. And I'm going to finish up here in a few minutes with a couple of the touchdowns. So be patient, and we'll get it all in. This is not bad here by Terry. Good route running and a big wide receiver. Notice the box. 4th and 3. Is a great call. You got 5-man, 6-man, 7-man, and with the 8th man, if you're going to run the ball, how many in the box? There's your 4, 5, 6, 7. Got 2 down here. Safety's on the other side. You got a big receiver one-on-one. This is a bold call on 4th down. Not only does he go for it on 4th and 3 instead of trying a long field goal, which puts you in a position to tie the ball game, brings it to 1 possession. A lot of coaches are going to kick the field goal here. But you know the odds of Florida State hitting that field goal? Very low. You're looking at a 54-yard field goal. Probably not going to hit it. This is the right call. Even if they hadn't gotten it, it's the right call. Does a good job covering up. 1st down. And those 2 4th down calls are a big reason why Florida State won this game. And now what do we see? Same setup that we saw down inside. Down, they were about the 20-yard line before. This is the one that they hit to Terry on the skinny. You got the wheel coming up behind it on the play action. Got outside zone play action. Terry runs the skinny. This time they drop the safety back. Safety doesn't come down. So here's your read on the skinny. He can't play over the wheel. Good, decisive read by Francois. Give him credit. He got into a rhythm here as a passer. You got brackets on your big receiver because of what he did earlier. And now you float that in there, and you got an H-back that can make the catch. That's a great throw, great catch. Again, good design off of what you've been running on 1st down the whole game. They took that shot on 1st down in the 1st quarter, missed it to the seam because of the drop, took the same shot down here, 1st down. In the 4th quarter, hit the wheel because of a great athletic play. So I feel like in some sense, Taggart is starting to find his stride with this personnel in terms of zeroing in on what he feels like they can do. Now, I want to call attention to this as well, that because they're walking this safety down against that action, he's got, if he doesn't like what he's got over here, he can come back to this dig on the backside and feel comfortable throwing that dig if he's got time. So you go 1, 2, and you're probably going to throw it up there, but if you come off of number 2, you're coming backside to middle of the field. And you got middle of the field here. So that's not bad either. But that's good calling, good play calling. Taggart's starting to feel more comfortable with his personnel, with his quarterback, with his protection, throwing a little more on 1st down, getting the rewards of that. And that's what you get. Now we're going to go to the final 2 drives. Final 2 important drives, that is. So first of all, you get to 3rd and 2. This is dirty. This is a hard play action, naked. You got to really believe you can protect this. Good job by the back. But here's your key. He's blocking the end, and you're going to let the other tight end run the coverage out. So he's got to cover. He's got to cover. He's got to cover the guy coming out. He's got to cover the tight end here. You got nobody left for this tight end or for the H-back. H-back comes up, blocks, comes out late. There's not much you can do. That's a really dirty play. Dirty meaning good. And here we get that 1st down call, which is mystifying to me. If they run it 3 times here, Louisville wins the game. Instead, they call little spot routes on the inside and hitches on the outside, and A.J. Westbrook reads the quarterback's drop. That's what he's looking at. This is good play. Safety's down. They're rotating into single safety. Westbrook is in robber. Looks at the quarterback's drop. 1, 2, quarterback set. Now what do? You jump that, and good catch. Suddenly you've got life. Oh, my goodness. Great play by Westbrook. It may have rescued a bowl for this team. Talk about getting momentum. Now I want to see what he's saying here. I called hitch. I called hitch. It sure looks like what he's saying. So he wanted him to go to the outside, I guess. But either way, why is he calling a pass? Final drive. Final drive. Keith Gavin wasn't on the field or wasn't ready. Oh, that's so frustrating for a coach. Giving yourself a chance with your bigs. Running all verts on that first play back. And this just isn't a good throw. If he puts that into a good spot, he's got a chance, but not a great throw. Like the play call there, though. So now you get the protection is beautiful. This, by the way, very similar play call to what you've seen last couple weeks. Beautiful from Matthews. He knows he's got time. What's he do? 1, 2, and hesitation. Gives him a little crossover, and now he's headed upfield. Makes a play. It's a weapon. 134. Thrown to the sideline. Good play by Nooney. Not going to break that down too much. That's pretty simple. Same play. Lucky. So let's take a look at what happened here. This is the same play that they've run the last two. You got to be careful going to the well enough. So he's reading there. This is the same one that DJ Matthews had a big gain on 2 plays ago. Little slant here. 1, 2, crossover. And this is where Francois' job is to get his eyes to the mic. Throwing that inside slant. You cannot try to throw that in there if he's there. If he's there, you've got to come off that read. He was determined to force this ball. He got very fortunate. Really, the place he should have gone here is Terry. Right here, you've got a little curl. That's where he should be going. And if anything, you airmail that out of bounds, but you can't make the throw he did. Florida State's lucky that you didn't just have a Westbrook on the other side. And then you wind up with a 3rd and 6. And this has been a bread and butter play for Willie Taggart on 3rd down so far this year. They've done it with different guys. They've done it with Matthews. They've done it with McKitty. They've done it with now with Nyquan Murray. All this is little in routes, little 5-yard in route from one side and little out route from the slot on the other side. And all you're doing is you're reading the mic. Mike takes off with the back. So Francois recognizes blitz, gets his eyes to the mic. See his eyes right there. That's good. He recognizes that the mic is clearing. So now it's the wide receiver's responsibility to get inside this guy. If this guy makes the interception, it's on the wide receiver now. Because he's the quarterback's responsibility. He's the receiver's responsibility. Receiver, what I like here is Murray see Murray's head? I love it. This is good receiver play. And I've been critical of Murray for 2-3 years now. But look at Murray getting his head right here. He sees the blitz. He's got to read the coverage too. He sees the blitz. And normally he's going to press this to about here and come inside. His eyes are here. That's where his eyes should be. This is excellent. This is an adjustment. Soon as he starts clearing, he's getting his eyes to the quarterback and working his way inside immediately. Clear. Boom. He's already there. Now Francois is able to get it out against the blitz because he's made the proper adjustment. He's cut his route down by about 2 yards. Got his head around. Is filling the space left by the mic. Francois gets him a catchable ball, and Murray is a little thicker than I think people realize and has a nice amount of physicality to him. And then Terry blocks his tail off here. Gavin, I think, was running downfield and didn't see it right away. He's running a clear-out route here. And Nooney's going to come this way initially, and then he sees that Gavin didn't have the position. Still in position. I still love that he's trying. Terry makes the play, and this is the ball game. Terry makes the block. Nooney makes the play. But this right here is very, very good against the blitz. Now, here's the concern. This is what I'm worried about coming into Miami. Similar situation, 3rd and 6. Manny Diaz, what he's going to do is he's going to play a very similar look. He's going to go single safety. He's going to present the same kind of look, and he's going to bring the same blitz right here. And he's going to vacate with that backer playing man as well. But here's the difference. What he's going to do is this guy is going to come, and then he's going to come underneath. He's going to drop. This player is going to drop right here and try to steal this for a pick 6. So if Francois and Murray do everything right, Francois has to check that, and then he's actually also, this is the next level for a quarterback, you've got to be ready for the zone blitzer, for the dropper, who's going to drop into that passing lane and try to pick that off. So that's the next step. You're going to see one of these guys, probably one of these guys, but if Miami's ends are explosive enough and talented enough to do it as well, that you might see this guy drop into that zone. They're going to try, they know that this is a tendency now to throw this on critical 3rd downs. They're going to drop, they're going to zone blitz. At some point, they're going to show a blitz, and they're going to drop that right into the space here in the middle, and Francois's got to be ready for that. That's something I'm worried about coming into the Miami game. Could be a really pivotal turnover, and that's something they're going to have to avoid. I know Manny Diaz will absolutely do that. I can promise you that against this look, he's going to bring a zone blitz and drop somebody right into that little in route space to try to take that away from Francois. We'll break that down next week. We'll see whether or not Francois is able to see it. I know Taggart and Bell are going to anticipate that as well, so you got to make sure Francois is prepared, but you can't throw it for him. We'll see next week on the film session. We'll cover whether or not he gets it, and we'll see how Florida State's able to handle some stuff against Miami. But until then, we'll go ahead and wrap. This will be the conclusion of our fifth film session. Thanks for those who were in here and watching live, and thanks also for the support of those of you who are watching this on delay. Once again, this has been the Unconquered Podcast Film Session. I'm Jason Staples. Thanks for your support.